Now, we've all seen the 100 days in ARK videos, because there are quite a few out there. I mean, a lot out there. But what if we added another challenge into the concept? Can I complete ARK in 25 days? After doing some quick calculations, I worked out that 25 days in ARK equates to around 20 hours, so that is all the time I'll have to complete this challenge. But before I begin, I'll show off the settings I used. It is pretty much default settings, as I wanted this challenge to feel like a normal speedrun, but without the stupidly high damage and XP increases that you see on most speedruns. So the only settings I've turned up are the taming speeds and breeding speeds, because it didn't feel right to have them at the normal speeds where it takes so long when I have such a limited time. And it begins! First off, we have to create the most crazy looking beach mob you've ever seen because, well, it wouldn't be ARK without the most goofy looking player, would it? And I decided to spawn at West Zone 2 because I want to start this challenge by going on an explore and note run for some XP to gain some levels quickly. Day 1 got off to a pretty good start. I was already level 55 just from getting these explorer notes. I pumped most of my levels into movement speed and health as I thought they were the most important early on in this challenge. After collecting some materials, I spotted a Spino lurking in the distance. I then got started on starter base for this challenge. FYI, I won't be building any fancy houses or anything because I don't have the time and it's not my area of expertise, so don't be expecting a house that looks like it could appear on Grand Designs.
I like it, Picasso.
I then made a campfire to make some cooked meat, which is much better than eating berries if you didn't know. I then went on a murderous rampage in order to get some hide and meat. Whilst making some clubs, I had an uninvited visitor who needed taken care of. I then tried to tame a parasaur, which then ran off. Then it crossed the river where a raptor was waiting on the other side. I then made myself a refining forge so I could begin smelting metal into ingots. Then I tamed my first dino, a Mosschops, and named it appropriately. After a while, I got myself a smithy and made a metal pickaxe and hatchet. Day 2 begun and I made myself a crossbow and some trank arrows. I was now ready for my second tame, which was going to be a pteranodon. After shooting it with just one arrow, it was knocked out. But then disaster struck when I was attacked by two Sarcos, one which made a beeline straight for my tame and killed it. Luckily, I found another one not too long after. Which this time I tamed successfully and named him Terry. Then I went out to get some keratin for a saddle for my new Pteranodon. Now that I'd fly, I went to a nearby mountain to get some crystal for a spyglass and gather some metal whilst I was there. At the end of day 2, I went on a search for an RG and found a decently high leveled one. Then I started to build a simple trap when I was ambushed by some scorpions. Which knocked me out, then killed me. God! Day 2 ends in the worst possible way. But surely day 3 can't get any worse. Oh. At least this time I don't die and get to my Pteranodon in time. I can now finally get back to taming my Argentavis, which I first have to lure back into the trap. Come on, this way, come on. Then I shot it a few times. Should be only one more shot, I think. Yep, and she's down. And she's tamed. Came through at level 131, and she's got decent stats. And I'll call her Argina. I then tested her out, and she killed this Alpha Raptor, which gave me an apprentice bow and a ramshackle crossbow. I now decided it was time to move base, and I demolished my old one. Picked up and packed up all my things, and then left. I was aiming for the mountain to the right of the Tek Cave for my new base, as it was quite central, so getting to all the caves and artifacts and getting metal would be much easier. However, the one issue was the terrain was quite uneven, so it was hard to find an area where I could actually start to build a house. Another issue I found with my new base location is that it was freezing at night, and as you can see in the bottom right, I'm about to die. But I just decided to let myself die, and I'll place down a sleeping bag so I can respawn. Same location with max health. Whilst I was improving the base by adding some thatch walls, I could hear Rex chomping on something nearby, and I thought that was a bit too close for comfort, so I got my RG, went out and killed it, as it was at low level. To help with the freezing temperatures, I went out and killed a bear to get some pelt, but they don't give much pelt, and I was struggling to find many bears. I then went out and got some metal. I found myself this level 68 baryonyx, which will help me greatly in getting the artifacts from the caves, except the only problem is it was in this swamp area that was full of things that wanted to eat me. However, I decided to try and tame it anyway, whilst it was attacking a bear. And then this Carno ran up on me, but thankfully it wasn't going for me. Then the baryonyx and some terrorbirds turned their attention onto me, and somehow managed to get their way up this rock that I was standing on, attacked me and my bird. But thankfully I was able to call my bird back and get back on. And then it got even worse.
We've been trying to contact you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Then I died. Then I got knocked out by this frickin' Titanobo on the way back. Which also killed me. I was able to finally go back to my Argentavis, but I decided to ditch this baryonyx as it was a lost cause, so I found myself a new one, a better one. But whilst I was shooting it with trank arrows, it ran off, and then I lost it. But then I got attacked by a Sarco. Which I swiftly killed. Well, the parasite killed. I then started searching for that baryonyx and I just could not find it.
One eternity later.
Using my genius, I decided to use the tracker that you can get when you go to your inventory to realise that the baryonyx had been knocked out and was right beside me the whole time. She then tamed up and I named her Barrietta. On the way back to base, I made a pit stop at the central cave and decided to run it now. Cue the montage. When I got back to base, I created a special storage box where I put only the artifacts that I get. I then decided to give the lava cave a run, as that is one of the fairly easy caves. And whilst I was collecting the artefact, my baryonyx started getting attacked, and then I was worried that it was going to fall off. But luckily she had it all sorted, but I didn't, because I almost fell into the lava trying to jump back across. Ooh, that was close. I then went for another cave, the lower south one this time. It's also another fairly easy cave. Now that I was in the mood for cave exploring, I went and did Upper South Cave. Yeah, this one didn't go too well. I forgot about the freezing cold temperatures and then died in the middle of it. Now, being the noob I am, I forgot to record me getting back to the baryonyx. But then I forgot to record what happened next, which also wasn't much. I kept going around the water and missed where the artifact was and got myself lost, so I just returned to the main point where I knew where I was. I then returned to the water's edge where I decided that I would do the cave the easy way and go and grapple myself up into that little crack in the wall where you then just run down a little section and you get to the artifact, but I had to go back to base and get grapples before I did that. Once I'd returned back to the cave, I got my grapple out and then shot in between that crack in the wall and then reeled myself up. This way is so much easier than going through the water, and I would greatly recommend doing it this way. However, I wasn't alone in this single passage. There was a scorpion blocking me from the artifact. But once killing that scorpion, it was pretty straightforward, then walking down to the artifact and collecting it. I then went and did another cave, this time the northeast cave, the one on Carno Island, which is slightly more tricky than the others. However, I managed to get my way down and collect the artifact. But on my way back out of the cave, I saw some damage. One of my dinos was taking damage from outside the cave, and I realised that was my RG, who was hoped would fight back, but I then got further up the cave and saw that she was killed. And that was quite a big bummer, because RGs are really important. And then when I got out, I couldn't find her body bag. And she also had my Pteranodon in a cryopod in that body bag, so I lost two birds with one stone. After making the long trek back to base, I decided that I would recognise the importance that the flyers had and say thank you by giving them a funeral service at the top of the mountain. I continued with day 8 by making myself a fabricator. And then made myself some scuba gear so I could attempt the water caves and the swamp cave. Completing the swamp cave with quite easily. I then went and did the water cave on the west side, which is the easier of the two water caves. But I made quite a big mistake with this. I normally do this cave with a dolphin, where you can just quickly swim past all the mobs in there. But I decided to do it with my baryonyx, and it just didn't end well. I ended up getting caught by some eels, which killed my baryonyx, and then me. It was a stupid mistake on my behalf, which I paid dearly for. This had actually set me back quite a bit, because the baryonyx is just that good at cave exploring that losing it was just massive. But then I realised that the caves that I have remaining, I wasn't going to need it for, because I was going to use a dolphin for both the two water caves. Then I was going to do the northwest cave on foot, and then I was going to tame a pack of aloes and do the snow cave. So I tamed up some dolphins and attempted to get my stuff back. I decided to go without scuba and just risk it, and I almost died, but thankfully there are these pockets of air, which helped greatly. I finally got back to my stuff, where the eels were specifically waiting for me, as they stunned my dolphin and then killed me again. So I now had to tame another dolphin and attempt this cave again. But thankfully this time I managed to get back to my stuff in the nick of time. I then went over to the eastern water cave and attempted that. For me, that is the second hardest cave on the island, behind the snow cave. Just because there are so many mobs in there, they're so high level and they do a lot of damage. But I decided to do the speed run way, where you take a dolphin and you just swim quickly past them all and try to avoid them, and you go down this little passage on the right. I then came out the cave with the artifact, with my dolphin only having about 100 health points. On the way back to my base with the artifacts, a pack of raptors savagely took me down. And then on my way back to base again, an alpha raptor decided I'd be a good meal, and then his pack of raptors then finished me. I eventually got my stuff and made my way past them, until I saw an alpha T-Rex on the other side of the mountain that my base was on. But I didn't let this distract me, so I went out and tamed a pteranodon, as I needed a flyer. But this pteranodon was then killed by an allosaurus, and so was I. I then knocked out another one, which was attacked by a Carno, but thankfully it survived. But it had a ridiculously low taming effectiveness, but I'd just given up, so I just decided to tame this one. She tamed up and I named her Trisha. I then made my way over to the northwest cave with a shotgun and attempted to run that. I did manage to get the artifact and make my way out, but I did contract mega rabies and it killed me once I got outside the cave. I then found a high level allosaurus on the other side of my mountain that my base was on, trapped it up and then tamed it. After it tamed, I went out to get some XP on it. I then found a high level Rex, which I then also tamed. Then not too far from my mountain, I found a male Allosaurus, a high level one which I decided to tame, which would go well with my female so I could begin breeding them. I then began breeding my Allosauruses to get a good imprinted pack, but I forgot to record stupidly again that down by the river, by the mountain, I went and tamed a low-level female Rex so that I could begin breeding with my high-level male. After hatching enough allo eggs, I finally had 4 good allos that I was willing to use for the snow cave. I then changed my focus to hatching Rexes for the Rex army, for the bosses and their Tek Cave. I then went out with my pack of allos and decided to get some XP as I needed to boost their levels, and decided that I would fight that Alpha Rex that was on the other side of the mountain. And I took it down with ease. I then decided to run the snow cave as I felt my allos were ready. So I got one out of the cryopod at the beginning and decided to take down these snow bears. It was going well until one of those stupid Palovias pulled me off my allo and killed me. I then returned to where I died, but I just don't quite understand what happened here. All the dinos had despawned or something, and my allo had disappeared, and I checked the logs and it didn't die and there was no death message, so I'm baffled what happened. However, I continued, but I was killed by another Palovia. I honestly hate these guys. I'd gotten so tired of this cave that once I made it to the final room, I was sacrificing some of my worst allos so that I didn't have to fight off any of the dinos. This did make it a lot easier. After collecting the final artifacts, I left and was on a bit of a high, so I took on this Alpha Carno with my Allosaurus and beat him. I then spent the whole of day 18 expanding on my Rex army. I found myself in decently high level 1 and somehow got it into a trap and then tamed it. I named him KFC. On day 20, I had got all the Rexes that I had been breeding and put them onto the teleporter pad alongside my Uteranus, and decided that I would fight the Megapithecus as the first boss, as this is the easiest of the 3 in my opinion. The technique to defeating the Megapithecus is to grab all your Rexes and bring them as far over to this side that you can possible, as there is a gap in between next to that passage where the Megapithecus walks down, and if your dinos fall down there, they are instantly dead and you cannot get them back. Then what you want to do is hop on your Uteranus and run up to where the Megapithecus is walking around, grab his attention and then bring him down to where your Rexes are. You want to keep your Rexes on passive here because the Megapithecus might throw a massive rock at them from quite a distance, and you don't want your Rexes engaging despite the damage they may take. You then wait until the Megapithecus gets close enough to where your Rexes are, and then you attack. And we've done it! The Gamma Megapithecus is down. We've unlocked the engrams for the Tek replicator, which you need to make anything Tek, and the Tek gauntlets, and the gauntlets should be quite helpful in the Tek Cave. I then took my dinos over to the Green Obelisk teleporter pad to fight the Broodmother, but whilst I'm in editing, I have realised that for some reason that I don't know, the audio has not recorded, so these next few clips won't have any game audio. The technique to defeating the Gamma Broodmother is quite simple, as there's not much things to worry about. The only issue is that you want to try and get as many dinos surrounding so you can get as many attacking the Broodmother at once. And it's down! Annoyingly, I didn't get any Tek engrams that I wanted. Another thing that I realised is that I wasn't getting too much Tek, and if I wanted to get full Tek armour, I'd have to get a lot more Tek, so off camera I went and done 3 more artefacts so that I could redo the Megapithecus on beta, and here it is. Once again, this clip doesn't have audio. Now it was time to fight the dragon. Now it isn't exactly recommended to do it with Rexes, and it's advised you do it with Therazinos, as they don't take fire damage to the dragon's breath, whereas Rexes, which I'm using, do, and they can lose up to 5%, I think. Now there is no proper technique to doing this, you just have to try and avoid the fire damage to yourself, and then wait for the dragon to land, and then get your Rexes on it. Fortunately this time I think I counted we lost 4 Rexes, which isn't the greatest, but at least the dragon's done up. It's by far the worst boss to do. I then went out and tamed myself a Diplodocus, which isn't the most common dino to tame, but these do buff damage against Trilobite, and I needed to kill Trilobite to get some black pearls to be able to afford the Tek replicator. After spending quite a while doing this, I was finally able to get myself a Tek replicator, which cost so much. I then brought it home and placed it down. After putting almost all materials I had into the Tek replicator, I made myself Tek gauntlets, Tek leggings, 2 shotguns, and all the ammo I needed. Quickly before I put all my things into the Tek Cave, I went out and tamed an otter and named him Buddy, as this is going to help me against the cold and the warmth. After bringing all my tames that I needed to the Tek Cave, I'd got them all in order, and I was ready to begin. The worst part of this cave, I think, has to be the beginning, trying to get all your Rexes through a small gap in the entrance. Although the gap looks large, the area you can get through is quite small, and it's a pain with the way Rexes follow each other. Here we go. No, 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 no. Oh, no. That's probably the worst thing that's happened to an ARK. That it annoyed me that much that I just couldn't go back on the game for a few days now. However, I felt obliged to at least finish the challenge, even though I wasn't going to be able to finish it in the 25 days like the challenge said. So I gave myself an extra 5 days and I had to complete this challenge by the 30th day. But I'm not going to show you it because it's pretty much what I've just done for the last 25 days and there's no point repeating it. So the journey begins again, and here we are again at the Tek Cave on day 31, which is actually, it's technically day 30 because you start ARK at 7 o'clock. So up until the 31st, 7 o'clock is the 30th day. But nonetheless, we begin again. And that's the Tek Cave done. Now time for the Overseer. But first off, we have to go through this place, and this place is it's probably my favourite place in ARK just because it's so cool. The fact that it's where the Overseer is watching you fight his bosses, and you just get to see it, it's just so cool. Although the Megapithecus there hasn't loaded in, but still it looks so cool. And now it's time for the see the dragon. It just looks amazing. The quality that ARK have put into this end scene is just so good. And the Broodmother. This just looks awesome. But then I've got to get my dinos through this long tunnel, but still there are still some cool things to check out before we get there. Even this bit here, it's like looking where the Overseer was creating the dinos to put on the island. May as well get this explorer note as well. What's that? We got a T-Rex and a frog. I'm guessing that's the island, or the ARK island itself. And further along this little passage, we've got Earth, showing South America. That's pretty cool. Then the other side, this is cool. It's like where that Overseer creates your player. And another explorer note as well. Well, I'm not going to be bothered to read it. Then we've got another thing here, but I actually don't know what this is. It's like the DNA of the human, or of your player. I actually don't know. Then this other side also confuses me. This is Earth with just a bunch of red bits on it. And then we've got possibly the coolest part about this whole Overseer place is you get to see where he drops the supply drops down. It's just so cool looking at where you can see the island and stuff. In fact, I wonder if I can see my base. Oh yeah, because that's the Tek Cave right there. So my base is just to the right of that. And now onwards to the Overseer, the final fight, the battle, which will end the island. Except that I just don't like these gates. I just don't understand. It's the same as when you enter the Tek Cave, you get a struggle getting through. But you've also got to make sure that you get all your dinos through before you engage the fight, or else you're going to lose some, and that's happened to me before. So I just hope it doesn't happen this time. Which is why you'll see me constantly checking back on my dinos to make sure that they're getting through and that the gate hasn't closed. But here we are, the arena. And that's the Overseer down there, the other end. But I think it looks like all my Rex made it through, thankfully, because that is a pain. I wish they fixed them gates, but here we go, the final fight. we've got to be close now. Yes, we've done it! Overseer has been defeated. It may not have been within the 25 days, but still, I feel like I've won. And I'll make sure to get the final Explorer now. Although I never read it. I just love this outro, the finale. I just think ARK just done so well with this. Just the sounds, the animations, the graphics, just so good. Although I don't know why I'm trying to bring some of my Rexes into the teleport with me. So I'm not actually sure what happens to the Rexes. Because obviously you end and then I don't know what happens when you respawn onto the island. But here we go, the final cinematics. And it's done! The Can I Complete ARK in 25 Days challenge. I mean, may not have done it successfully, but I completed it nonetheless, so I just want to say a big thank you to anyone who watched, because it means a lot, because I put a lot of effort and time into making this. So if you could just leave a like and subscribe, that would mean so much to me. So thanks for watching, and if you want to see another map, I'll probably do it in order, so Scorched Earth or Aberration next, although I don't like doing Scorched Earth because it doesn't have an ascension, but if you want to see that next, please say so in the comments. Thanks.